So Ferdinando II has an exceptionally long reign. He is there pictured below on the lower left in what is Ottoman garb with the turban and the very rich embroidered jacket. And he had, of course, a delight in court spectacle and also in theater and music. And it was during this period also that we witnessed the rise of really extravagant court spectacles, oftentimes that took place in the courtyard of the Boboli Gardens, with all sorts of contraptions, which were dreamed up by architects like Bernardo Buontalenti and others, who were essentially marshalling their creative powers solely for the enjoyment of the upper classes, as you see in this delightful image here. And also in the practice of court spectacles known as naumachia. This is a naumachia that took place at the Palazzo Pitti, designed by Buontalenti, in which you have a battle, a reenactment of a naval battle. Oftentimes it was the Battle of Lepanto, which you have Christian forces again battling against Turkish Ottoman forces. And what they would do was flood, and usually an interior structure, sometimes an exterior structure, with water and have mock battles. These were, of course, highly entertaining. They were designed to awe, if you think about the sheer amount of resources designed or that had to be marshaled up to carry this off. Again, actors, set designers, that sort of thing. And also members of the court who would take place in these masquerades, if you will. And they were also important because they were, again, another way to really entertain members of court, but also provide for an outlet for a certain usefulness at these grand spectacles and gatherings of nobility. At the court. They were also put on frequently when foreign dignitaries visited or at marriages and other ceremonies of importance. Another form of elite entertainment that expanded greatly in the 17th century, going on into the 18th century, was theater. As we already discussed, opera was an entirely new art form, which was also gaining in popularity. But it's the commedia dell'arte, that becomes extremely popular in the 17th century. Really it begins in the 16th century, though scholars have argued that there may be Roman antecedents, with roaming bands of actors that form little troupes. They perform on exterior platforms, exterior stages in the open air, essentially. And the best of them were invited to perform at the courts for royalty. They depicted standard characters that were often caricatures or stereotypes from certain regions, such as stock figures in the form of servants, masters, and lovers. So generally what happens in one of these spectacles is that there are two sort of star-crossed lovers, if you will, who are determined to be with one another, who are blocked by a father figure or a master figure in one form or another. A series of comic events unfolds, and usually they end up together and everyone goes home happy. The Commedia dell'arte is rather interesting because female actresses would actually play the female parts, which of course was not the case, for example, in England, where you would normally have a young boy playing the part of any women in the spectacle. The Commedia dell'arte, in both its form and its content, so in its ability to depict caricatures, to use kind of stock love narratives or plot lines, also highly influenced such writers as Shakespeare and Ben Jonson. And it also had links to, scholars believe it had links to Carnevale, which was essentially the weeks of celebration leading up to what we now call Mardi Gras, which is Fat Tuesday, of course, which was before Lent. So this is a later picture. It's a depiction of the Carnevale as it would have been practiced in Rome, actually. But it's this series of public spectacle, usually parades, much drunken revelry, and costuming that allows for a sort of stress release valve, as they call it, or a sort of outlet for the people of a given locale, whether it be in Florence or in Rome, to sort of get as much sin out of their system as they possibly can in the weeks leading up to Lent, culminating, of course, in Mardi Gras, and prepare themselves for the 40 days of repentance and of restriction that would inevitably follow.